Welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast, where our mission is to educate and empower you to make the most informed, rational, and productive financial decisions. Hosted by certified financial planner, author, and chartered investment manager Michael Isbister. You'll go behind the scenes to uncover the tips and strategies to help you invest smarter, optimize your retirement income, and reduce the amount of tax you pay. Michael is an investment advisor with Fundamental Wealth, a trade name of Harbourfront Wealth Management, a CERO dealer. And now, here's your host, Michael Isbister.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to the Retiring Canada podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss the 5 mistakes we see in DIY retirement plans. Specifically, I'm going to chat about the 2 different groups of people that come to us for advice, the core traits of these 2 groups, how overconfidence impacts results, the value of your time, choosing a fee-based or fee-only advisor, and lastly, as always, a few action items for you to consider. One interesting aspect about creating retirement planning content is that I get the opportunity to have conversations with Canadians from all over the country, from Kitimat, British Columbia, all the way to Moncton, New Brunswick. It has been a pleasure hearing these people's stories, goals, and retirement aspirations, and helping to build a coordinated retirement plan that helps their family transition to this next chapter in life. Across all of these individuals and families I have helped, they really boil down to 2 different groups. The group who works with an advisor, but after listening to my podcast for a few weeks or months, they realize the advisor or team they currently work with, they're not actually retirement planners. There has been no discussion of a drawdown strategy, a tax return has never been analyzed, and they find themselves in inefficient, high-cost investments that are just missing the mark. This group of people value advice, which they thought they were receiving when in fact their existing relationship was not truly adding value. People start by getting more and more educated through podcasts, YouTube, etc., which opens their eyes to the value that true planning can bring to the table. And the other group is the DIYers. On average, this group has a better understanding of investments than most families who work with an advisor. They have spent their time researching stocks or looking for low-cost solutions, and for the most part are comfortable with their overall investment strategy. During their accumulation years, they have watched their investments go up and have built a foundation of confidence built off of this investment success. As they get closer to the decumulation stage of actually living off of their investments, they realize that this stage of life is actually quite layered and complex. They do their research, punch questions into ChatGPT, and have a decent framework of what it could look like, but they don't have the experience to actually put it all together. They now reach to the point where they are looking for advice. And they see value in advice, but they have a hard time paying for said advice. Now, there are different kinds of advice out there, fee-based and fee-for-service or fee-only, which the DIYers should really understand. I will touch on these at the end of the podcast and give you an objective look at both. But before I do that, let's get back to the purpose of this episode. The 5 mistakes we see DIYers make as we go through our fundamental retirement plan process. The first is overconfidence. There was a research paper released in 1999 titled The Definitive Dunning-Kruger Paper, and at the core of its thesis is that people tend to hold overly favorable views of their abilities in many social and intellectual domains. To relate this back to investing, the DIYer may have picked a few stocks or funds, beat the market for the last few years, and determined the success was due to their decisions after the fact, and then felt highly confident in their skills. This can then have a ripple effect across other aspects of planning that could lead to a blind spot and difficulty in detecting the errors they are making. Errors that can have a devastating impact on your long-term retirement success. What happens when the markets or one of your stocks goes down? Where will you draw your income from? How does this impact your tax planning? The second is dividend tunnel vision. For many DIY retirement investors, receiving a dividend from a stock that they own just feels right. I purchased something and now I get to see that benefit every quarter in the form of a dividend. However, what many don't realize is that focusing on dividend-paying stock can have a multitude of drawbacks. Dividend-paying stocks tend to be in large-cap established companies, which may narrow your geographic and sector diversification. On top of that, dividends impact your tax return. And while they are efficient on their own, they can drive up the marginal tax rate on other sources of income and can also lead to OAS clawbacks. A simple question you could ask yourself is, do I need this monthly or quarterly dividend to fill up my gas tank or buy groceries? If the answer is yes, then okay. But if the answer is no, you may want to consider reviewing how you're invested. Now, I'm not saying dividends are bad by any means, but what I am suggesting is that in most DIY retirement scenarios I come across, they would be better suited in a properly diversified portfolio that keeps distributions low and give the retiree the ability to control tax. If you want to learn more about this, check out episode 71 of the podcast. The third mistake we see is too much cash. Now, the words too much can mean many different things to different people. Some may think $10,000 is too much, while others may think $100,000 is too little. Ultimately, the core driver of how much cash and liquidity you have in your retirement account should be a part of your overall planning strategy. Are you looking to buy an RV next year for $100,000? Maybe that cash and high interest savings portion is reasonable. If there is cash in the account, it must have a purpose or goal attached to it that justifies not being in the market. If your cash is in your retirement accounts to quote unquote take advantage of the next dip, I think you may be missing the boat on this one big time. Time in the market will trump timing the market in the long run. The next mistake we see is that there is no coordinated decumulation strategy. And this makes sense. Most DIYers that come to us want this specific advice. How do I take money out of my retirement accounts and in what order to minimize my taxes while ensuring my long-term retirement sustainability? If there is no strategy in place, things can start to get wonky. Incorrect CPP or OAS considerations, tax saving opportunities are squandered, and everything seems to be teetering between potential failure or success. This is where the value of a retirement planning specialist really earns their salt, not only at the beginning of the relationship, but year over year as the plan adapts to changes to your new retirement reality. A coordinated tax and withdrawal plan is the cornerstone of retirement success and mustn't be overlooked. The last mistake we see is waiting too long to ask for help, whether that be from a fee-based advisor or a fee-for-service advisor. At the end of the day, I strongly believe you should never leave your retirement up to chance. If you are very confident in your abilities, and think that you have it all figured out, at the very least, find a fee-for-service professional who can go through your stuff and pick out the blind spots and planning strategies that you are not considering. With investing, staying invested through tough markets, having a plan, and thinking for the long term ensures your investments will grow and compound over time. With retirement planning, the same logic can be applied. The smart decisions you make year over year with a coordinated retirement strategy compound on one another, providing you more and more flexibility and freedom over time. This is where expert advice comes into play. Now, I mentioned earlier in the episode that at a high level, there are two advice models in Canada: fee-based and fee-only, sometimes referred to as fee-for-service. We are a fee-based team, meaning that we are compensated by you through the value of investments you have with us based on a percentage. As your assets grow, that fee goes down to help align the value to fee ratio. For that fee, we do all of the heavy lifting, including coordinating with your tax accountant, lawyers, and other professionals. We believe strongly in goals-based planning and focus our energy on ensuring we build a retirement plan so you and your family can properly and confidently retire. From an investment standpoint, our firm is boring. We believe that markets are efficient, and the evidence supports this claim. Our value does not come from a crystal ball approach to investing. We also believe strongly in forward-looking, ongoing planning that is rooted in a meaningful relationship that builds confidence and fosters trust. The other advice model is fee-only. For many DIY investors who want to explicitly maintain control of their portfolio, this is a very suitable option. A fee-only advisor will create a plan for you and provide strategies and suggestions for what you can do to optimize your retirement. There is likely an upfront cost of a few $1,000s and an ongoing fee if you choose to have ongoing advice. One of the core differences between the two will be cost and implementation. Depending on your scenario, a fee-based advisor may likely cost more on paper. However, he or she would be doing all of the heavy lifting for you. If you favor fee-only advice, the implementation of the rebalances, tracking, implementation of tax strategy, coordinating between professionals, and more will still rest on your shoulders. So, depending on the level of complexity your situation may have, there may be a significant outlay of your time to actually follow through and monitor your overall retirement plan. Either way, if you go this route with a fee-based or fee-only planner, ensure you align yourself with an individual or team that specializes in retirement. At the end of the day, value is in the eye of the beholder. For some DIYers, shifting to fee-based makes sense because they want to fully hand over the responsibility to a professional team and want to ensure their spouse has someone to fall back on if something were to happen to them. While others want the fee-only route because they want to maintain control, spend their time rather than their money, and want a second opinion when the time comes. As someone who is passionate about this industry, I am not oblivious to the fact that different kinds of advice models are suitable for different kinds of people. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. I am a firm believer that you can't be everything to everybody. It is simply impossible to meet the needs of satisfying every person. For our firm, our people are retirees who want a team of retirement professionals who do the heavy lifting so they can focus on enjoying life. The right advisor isn't the one with the best marketing, the lowest fee, or the most impressive title. The right advisor is the one whose philosophy, process, and service model align with what matters most to you. Find your person, find the approach that gives you confidence, and then commit to a plan you can stick with for the long term. Okay, so that will do it for today's episode. Here are your action items for today. First off, if you are a DIY investor who is within 5 years of retirement, I strongly suggest you look for help to point out your blind spots. If you are unsure about using a fee-based team like ours, at the very least, get a second opinion from a qualified professional who specializes in retirement. Second, if you are a DIY investor and your spouse isn't really involved in the decision-making process, I suggest you start the conversation sooner than later on what things would look like if one of you were gone. If you don't work with a planner, be sure to make a checklist of things the surviving spouse would need to do or people they would need to speak with if something were to happen to you. And lastly, enjoy your summer. Living in Saskatchewan, where I'm from, obviously, can be trying at the best of times with our long, cold winters. So I am beyond excited to enjoy some time with my wife and 3 little ones as we kind of tour around Saskatchewan. We have a family reunion in Kenosee. We're going to Waskesiu and we're going to Jackfish, and we got lots of fun stuff planned. So I hope you as well book some time off to enjoy the things you love and with the people you love. Okay, so that'll do it for today. Make sure you add us on all of your socials, LinkedIn and Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe to our weekly Retiring Canada newsletter. If you haven't done so already, please leave us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. And hey, when it comes to your retirement, don't take chances. Make a plan so you can retire with confidence.
All comments are of a general nature and should not be relied upon as individual advice. The views and opinions expressed in this commentary may not necessarily reflect those of Harbourfront Wealth Management. While every attempt is made to ensure accuracy, facts and figures are not guaranteed. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Please seek advice from your accountant regarding anything raised in the content of the podcast regarding your individual tax situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.